So today is September 25th, and the time is currently 10:49 p.m. I got back from the gym like about an hour or so ago. I was thinking like, cause I was literally in the bathroom like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, oh, I'm wearing this shirt or this like wool sweater, I guess. And I think the first ever video that I recorded, I could be wrong about this, but I was wearing this, and I used to wear this quite a lot in the videos. But I haven't worn this in a long time, and I decided to wear it for the gym like this past week because I was like, I keep on reusing the same one, and I kind of want to go in with a different look, I guess. So I came in with this, and low key, like the gains are starting to show up. That was terrible. I don't know. But anyways, I have several videos that I've recorded that I haven't uploaded yet. But the last video that I recorded and uploaded, that's on my channel, it did pretty well. In terms of like on my channel, it just attracted more views than I typically get. And the topic in that video that I discussed was around lust. And it feels right to talk about that because that's been something that has become more apparent to me through the past months. Man, and looking back in my life in terms of just the past 5 years, I feel like I've learned not a lot. I haven't learned everything, but I've been able to, from my experiences, I've been able to sort of take away certain things, I guess you could say. I've learned from, at least to the best of my ability at this point, I've learned some things from the past experiences, and even in the past few months, especially in the past few months. Lust has become something that is very clear to me in terms of just not wanting to participate or not wanting to partake in lustful experiences anymore. It just doesn't fit anywhere in my life, you know? And it's not to say that I've completely just like dusted it off myself, you know? I'm going to be very honest and transparent, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. Because again, in these videos, I don't want myself to come off as someone that you can put up on a pedestal. I don't think anyone is willing or deserving. And I don't think any human being is deserving of getting put up on a pedestal, because as long as we're in this physical body, everybody is very much capable of falling into some sort of trap. And that's not me criticizing. That's not me judging either. It's just being honest. Let's just be honest with ourselves and be honest with what we're experiencing, what we're doing at this moment. Let's be honest about what we want to see ourselves develop as, or the person that we want to become, or whatever, whatever we envision for ourselves. I think humility and honesty with oneself is one of the things that could really take you farther and farther, further and further, whatever. And that's just a good place to be at, But yeah, the last video that I uploaded, it was me talking about lust. And I think it was something about intimacy without love is not worth it. I think that was the title of that video. And I have something written down in my notes. And I low-key forgot what it was, but it's going to be the title of this video more than likely. I think it was something along the lines of, lust can't compete with love. Something like that. I'm sorry. I'm like all over the place. But it's going to be something along those lines, right? And so, again, transparency and honesty, right? There's a dynamic right now that's in the process of unfolding with this other woman that I met like a little over a month ago. And I've talked about this quite a few times in these videos. But before a little bit of over a month ago, I didn't even know she existed. I simply didn't. If I wouldn't have gone, listen, I think it was the birthday party that I went to, it was on a Saturday, and most Saturdays I'm always working. But this was kind of something that was told to me in advance, so I was able to request that Saturday off, and thankfully it got approved. I was like, okay, let's go. I can go celebrate my friend's birthday. And that night, I show up. I think the start time for the birthday party was like at 6 p.m. And I showed up at 6 p.m., I showed up even probably a few minutes before because I had to bring the speaker for the function. Like you can't have a nice party without some music playing. I mean, honestly, music is a blessing. I think I saw like a reel the other day where it was talking about, it was like some dude. If you've seen the show Barry, it's like the teacher for the class of like the acting class, right? I don't know if it was from Barry or if it was from a different show or movie, but he said something along the lines that life without music would be an accident. And I know I'm diving into something entirely different, but music is amazing. Music is beautiful. There's so much music, so much art. And I think this is actually not bad to kind of talk about, because there's something about art and love that really, they both equal each other. In like the purest forms of art, in the purest forms of love, that is basically love an expression. It's a form of an expression of love, to be honest. And I think when we talk about, or when we think of ourselves, and the way that we deal with other people in our life, and especially with ourselves, to be honest, love is one of those things where like you'll know when love is real for yourself. You'll know when love is real between two other people because you don't have to convince yourself. It's one of the most effortless things. That's why when you're experiencing a dynamic, right? Like, I myself as a man, with this woman that I have in my life right now, where this dynamic is just unfolding, right? I can say that things are slow, but to be honest, that's just from my mindset, not from, maybe, how can I word that? It's more so like, oh man, things are progressing a little slow, but at the same time, I recognize, to be honest, what would even be the benefit of rushing this anyways? And I think when it comes to rushing things, right? In the past, when I look back then, even a few months ago, if there was anything that was being rushed, right? And when I'm talking about rushing, I mean even just something like physical. Like, I was talking to my friend literally last night, and I was like, oh, like with this woman, we've held hands like a few times, like the other day I was hanging out with her and my hands were freezing. Like we took a step outside of my car, we started walking down a little bit. It wasn't even that cold outside, but my hands were just freezing. And then we got back in the car and I tell her that, and then she tells me to feel her hands, and I just like lay my hand on her and on her hands, and I just feel the warmth of her hands, and I'm just like, oh my God, your hands are really warm, But nonetheless, I bring that up to say, because my friend last night, he was like, man, you sound like a high schooler. But to be honest, one of the thing about love is that, especially when you're not rushing, little things like even just holding hands, that really means a lot. That means a lot for somebody who genuinely is moving away from lustful wishes or lustful actions, lustful thoughts, lustful anything in general. Because lustful things, when you're rushing, right, when you can look back at some of your experiences with someone else or with yourself, because I mean, listen, semen retention for me, since it began, I've brought this up. If it was a decision, which to be honest, I don't really consider it as a decision, because one day I just didn't do it, and then just the preceding days, it just didn't. I never looked back, Maybe I looked back to reflect and thought like, wow, it's been quite some time since I've, dispersed my seed, but like genuinely, I just don't look back and think like, oh, don't get me wrong. This is where I'm being honest and transparent. Do temptations for lustful things still appear? Absolutely. But I think what you decide to do, if you are aligned with what you want to envision yourself going through, you'll more and more lean into just not doing the things that don't make any sense anymore, right? So for instance, a few months ago, I like the exact scenario or the exact situation that I have going on right now with this woman, this dynamic that's unfolding. I would have thought, oh man, this is going too slow. I'm going to entertain like someone else, And that to me reveals that if I were to do that, I'm not looking for love. I'm simply looking for something that would just fulfill me in the moment. And then what? And then what? I'm not gonna be building anything from that. I'm simply not gonna be building anything from that, Of course, let me say this though, because I want to say there are exceptions. There are exceptions, but don't like, you have to be real with yourself and be honest with yourself more than anything else. Like, fuck what I'm saying, to be honest. Fuck what anyone is saying. You have an inner compass within you. You 1000% do. And the more you tune into that, the more you are honest with yourself, and the more that you are honest about what you want to work on, or what's maybe holding you back a bit, what you're trying to manifest, all those things, if you're honest to yourself about that, more work will actually be done than listening to a teacher, listening to studying something, whatever it may be, you know? And I think that that's that is probably one of the rawest, most true forms of art, you know? Genuine expression of things that are so true to you that it doesn't have to be something that someone else tells you to do. It's coming from you. It's coming from the deepest parts of yourself. And those things you simply cannot deny. You simply cannot deny. No one is telling you to do that. You know, no one is telling you to do that. Something within you, whatever that something is, that's your guidance right there. That's your mentor. That's your guru. That's literally the truth within you. And the more you tune into that, and the expressions that come from that manifests itself in reality, in this physical space that we're in, man, that's one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful thing for you. For you, simply put, that is one of the most beautiful things for you. I still feel like I have the pre-workout from the gym going through my bloodstream right now, so I feel like maybe that's why I'm a little all over the place. But I'm also kind of amped up to just record this video. Again, one of the reasons, or if not the main reason I do this, is not because I want to teach people things, or not because I feel like I have a message coming from somewhere that I just need to share. Low-key, some of that, but excuse me, I just burped. I also drank like a protein powder shake or something like that like 30 minutes ago. But anyways, genuinely, the main reason I came out here to do this is because this feels so true to me. Ever since I was a kid, just putting up a camera. I mean, when I was a kid, the way that it started was like me literally like putting my laptop and just putting it in front of a TV, and I would play Skyrim and then upload it to YouTube, you know? But it was still commentary over it, you know? Things that I would talk about as a kid. I mean, some of the things I would say would probably just be really ridiculous things. Nothing compared to what I'm talking about now. But, you know, even like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would stream on Twitch, me playing video games, and then I would just, again, ridiculous things were being said, because I'm just playing video games and just talking shit, or like just getting really amped up about, like, I don't know, getting like a kill streak on fucking Call of Duty or something. I don't fucking know. But regardless, I'm doing this because it feels true to me. And I know that someday these videos, it's like setting the foundation for what's gonna come next in some way. You know, I've talked about it before. I have dreams of writing books. In my notes app, I write different things that I just get as downloads. Like downloads as in, like, for example, I was at the gym the other day with my friend. I don't know what we were talking about, but something kind of just struck me. Like, it's like a thought that I just couldn't ignore, that I felt the energy behind for me to go and write, you know? Same thing, like, that's how I sort of interpret love with someone else and with yourself. It's so undeniably true. There's energy that's backed. There's energy that's backing up whatever is being translated, you know? Like through our words, through our thoughts. Man, you don't find those things in lust. You simply don't. You don't find those things in lust, because the things that we do under lustful things they're not backed by anything that feels like it's backed by like good energy. You know, it just, lust doesn't have any of that. It simply doesn't. And you'll be able to make the distinction and see the distinction, the difference between genuine, real love, just love, period, and lustful things. Especially, like, listen, like in the past, again, I said 5 years, right? Man, a lot of things were backed by lustful things, you know, lustful energy. Lustful energy will really have you feeling drained. It'll have you feeling drained. You'll go back to it because, I mean, at that time, it was just what I was allowing in my life. It was just what I was accepting. It's what I was basically, I wasn't prepared for something like this. I wasn't prepared for something like love for myself. And that's why it's very important to not hold any judgment. It's difficult because life is really, and again, I've recommended this book before in different videos. Ram Dass, he wrote a book, Be Here Now, and in it there's some pages. It's like a caterpillar, or like a snake shedding its skin. That's sort of the process that's unfolding in our life. We're shedding the skin of our old self, and when that's happening, there really isn't rushing the process. If you don't understand something now, you best believe at some point, whenever that point comes, you'll understand it. And then there's even more to come after that. It just never is a full stop until it is a full stop. And that's only at the very end of this journey. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. We still got more to go through. It's difficult because life, the universe does not care about the personal narratives that are going on this planet. That's just the way it is. Sometimes there are just things that happen where someone goes sooner than they would have hoped. But can't speak to that. That's very complicated. But anyways, as long as we are still here, as long as we are still breathing, as long as our heart is still pumping, blood is still flowing, there is more to uncover, and we can't rush that process. We can't. We can try, as best as we can to put our efforts into rushing the process and all that stuff. But you'll see, your efforts don't really push the needle that much further. The needle may get pushed a little bit, but real progress, real wisdom, real knowledge, you get that from experiencing life. Period. You get that from experiencing life. And how do you experience life? Obviously, you just keep going. You can't stop what's already going. Just keep on experiencing. Keep on focusing, I guess, Attention. Attention is really important, to be honest. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now. In terms of really bringing attention to things that were in the past that aren't here anymore. Actually, I want to talk about something that I experienced earlier today. I'm 17 minutes in. Let me just keep on yapping, right? So earlier today, I woke up sometime in the morning, and they were doing some roof work on top of my house. And I was like, oh man, and they had to come inside the house a bit, so I took a little bit longer than I typically would to kind of start my day because, there were people in the house, and I was like, well, I can't really do anything to get out of my room right now. I don't want to interfere with the work that's going on. But I was able to have my breakfast, and I came back up to my room, and then eventually I was kind of like, well, let me just take a nap. It was at that point, maybe it was 12 p.m. I was like, you know what, let me just take a nap for a little bit. And I've had this experience before. I'd like to call it astral projection, an out-of-body experience, because when I've had it, even earlier today, I had this sensation that I was laying in my bed, and my body was trembling. Now, I feel as if if there was someone else in the room, my physical body, from their perspective, I don't think would actually be trembling. But I don't quite know. I've never had someone be in the room while I am experiencing this, but my what I speculate, right, is that I'm laying in bed and I'm trembling, but my physical body isn't trembling. It almost feels like, I've expressed this before. It almost feels like an earthquake, but an earthquake inside my body. It literally feels like I'm shaking, right? And when I've experienced it in the past, it's always, especially over 5 years ago, even 10 years ago when I've experienced it, it was always really weird and scary to feel, because it feels like, if I were to sort of speculate what dying feels like, it would be like that. Genuinely, it would be like that, because it feels like something is genuinely pulling me away from my body, right? And so that's what I was experiencing earlier today. But when I was experiencing it earlier today, I kind of just fell into it. I kind of just was like maybe a little bit more accepting of what I was feeling. And eventually, in this experience that I was having, I never recall like getting out of my body. Like, it's not so straightforward like that. It's not like I am literally getting out of my body and I turn around and see my physical body just laying there. I've never once seen that. I've never once seen that. However, in the experience that I had, I just remember getting out of bed, and I have like a table next to my bed, and I see my phone, and so I pick up my phone, and I'm looking at my phone, but it looks different in terms of what I'm seeing on there. I'm seeing messages and people's names from people that I used to talk to back then that I no longer communicate with. I'm seeing dating apps. I'm like, what? Why do I see Tinder on my phone? I know that I haven't had a dating app in a while. Why? What is this? Did I travel back into the past? Like, I'm seeing things that were once here that are no longer here. I moved on from these things. And so then eventually I snap out of it and I grab my phone. Like, and this is in the physical plane now. I'm grabbing my phone and I'm sort of seeing that what was once there in my life is no longer there. Certain people, dating apps, that's really it, those two things. And I'm like, wow, things have really changed. Things have really changed. I feel like our phones can really reflect an era of our life, certain things that we would allow back then. This is why I said earlier there are exceptions, because I almost want to talk shit about dating apps and be like, don't use it, But there are exceptions. I know some people in my life that are in what I deem, and what they more than likely deem too, is that they are in a relationship, a happy, genuine relationship with another person that they met off a dating app, So I'm not saying don't use a dating app because you won't find love. I mean, shit. I know this couple that have met off a dating app and they've been together for like 2 to 3 years. Now, not to jinx them, I'm not going to say the rest of what I was going to say. However, I mean, they're working it out. They're together right now. So it's not to say fuck dating apps, right? But just as anything, a tool really comes down to how you use it, And I think what will happen is what you're looking for and what you get out of what you're looking for, those two things end up aligning, If you're looking for lustful things and you're on a dating app, what you're going to get are lustful experiences. Not because, I don't know how to word that, but I mean, genuinely, what you're you manifest your experiences to some degree, I think there are factors that are completely outside of our control. But essentially what you're sort of projecting, that's basically what's going to come out of it. For me, back then, when I was on dating apps, I could tell myself, oh, I want a relationship, and I could try to move that way or whatever. But at that chapter, in that specific chapter of my life, it was just, let's have some fun, And eventually it kind of, and this is why I say like some things are outside of our control, because I mean, there were times where I felt like I was heartbroken if something didn't work out, So it's not like I was completely in it for just lustful things. If something didn't work out and I was really kind of hoping for something to further progress, it would hurt when it didn't work out. But there were also times where there was someone else and they were putting their love into this. And I couldn't reflect that back to them. Simply couldn't at that time. And now, I want to give credit to semen retention, as I think all men should at some point really consider semen retention. For me, it's something that sort of just fell on my lap, but genuinely, semen retention has been something that I feel like has really revealed to me the things that can genuinely benefit me and what hasn't been benefiting me at all. And I think those things, right, if it's benefiting me or not benefiting me at all, same thing could apply to how that shows up or how I'm showing up for someone else, And that's where I think honesty with oneself, transparency, All those things really matter. Let me not yap on much longer because I feel like I've been all over the place in this video. But yeah, lust fucking sucks. All right. Lust fucking sucks. But I mean, I think it's a part of this journey. I think it reveals things to us. And yeah, I think all things, unfortunately, it's a little odd to say, but all things are necessary. But we can do better. We can do better. And I think that better will come as life continues to unfold for each and every one of us. All right. That's it. Now go enjoy your life. And I really, really do mean that. That's it.